Okay, let's start the proof. Call your first witness to the state, please.
Your Honor, the state calls Dana Bobo.
Dana Bobo. Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Be seated. I want you to state your name for the record and spell it for the court reporter.
Dana Bobo. Live at 681 Swan Johnson Road, Darden, Tennessee.
Spell your name for the court reporter, please.
Dana, D-A-N-A, B-O-B-O.
Thank you.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Okay, Mr. Bobo, I'm going to ask that you speak up. You have to lean forward. We'll get you to
Fix it to say that mic is hot, so if you need to lean up to it, you may
Oh,
do
lean
so.
up to it. Okay.
just, if you'll direct your answers to the jury, because every single one of them needs to hear what you have to say,
Okay.
okay?
All right.
And speak up, because you're soft-spoken.
Okay.
You're Dana Bobo, correct?
Yes.
And I believe you just told the jury, or the court reporter, where your address was back in... And what is Darden compared to Parsons? Because I've heard both names.
It's about we live actually about 3 miles out of Parsons going toward Lexington, and then 3 miles off of 412,
And that's in Decatur County,
Decatur County.
Tennessee.
Yes.
I want to ask you some questions, a little bit about yourself and your family. Who are you married to?
Karen Bobo.
And is Karen in the courtroom?
Yes.
All right. And do you have children?
Yes.
And what were or are your children's names?
Clint Bobo, he's 25, and Holly,
He's 25?
he was 20, I'm sorry.
Oh, so then, are you
It's a
nervous?
time.
Are you nervous?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, let's go back. It's okay.
Okay.
You've never been in this position.
Right.
You said Clint was 20 at the time.
Clint was 20. Holly was 20 at the time.
So what I want you to do is just take your time and just answer the questions as I ask them, okay?
Okay.
All right. You said you had 2 children.
Yes.
Your son was named?
Clint,
Okay, and where did Clint live in 2011?
he lived with us. It's 681 Swan Johnson Road.
And your daughter?
Holly Bobo.
And how old was Holly?
Holly was 20.
And at that time, I want you to sort of describe for the jury what your family life was. For instance, did you have a job?
Yes.
Okay, and where did you work?
I worked for McKenzie Tree Service in
And what
Parsons.
did you do for McKenzie Tree Service?
I drove a mowing machine. It's a tree cutting company, and I drove the mowing machine.
Okay, and did Karen have a job?
Yes.
And what was Karen's job?
She's a teacher for Henderson County Schools.
Okay, what school specifically did she teach at?
She was at Scotts Hill Middle School, I guess you call it.
And what grade did she teach? Do you remember?
No, she taught so many different grades, I don't remember at that time.
And what was Clint doing back then?
He's a social worker.
Okay, was he still in school? Taking some classes?
I think he was taking some classes and working part-time.
And what about Holly?
Holly was in the nursing school.
Okay, and was she in school full-time?
Yes.
Right. Now, you said that all of you lived together on Swan Johnson Road?
Yes.
681 Swan Johnson Road?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how long had you lived at that house?
Me and Karen have been there since 1982.
Who built the house?
Me and my dad and one more guy. And Karen.
And Karen?
And Karen.
All right. When both of your children came home from the hospital, is that the house they moved into?
Yes.
And Holly was born in 1990?
90.
What was her birthday?
October the 12th, 1990.
So is it fair to say for her entire life, that's the only home she'd ever known?
It is.
You said she was in nursing school. Did she go to school about every day?
Yes.
And how did she get to school?
She drove her own car.
And what kind of car did she have?
She had a Mustang.
And in addition to her family, was there somebody in her life that was very, very special to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Who's that?
Drew Scott.
And who was Drew Scott? Who was Drew Scott? A friend or a boyfriend?
That was her boyfriend.
Okay.
Yes.
And was Drew Scott a familiar face in your house?
Yes.
In and out about every day?
Most of the time, yes.
All right. I want to draw your attention, please, back to a particular day in April of 2011, okay?
Yep.
April the 13th. Do you remember that day?
Yes, clearly. Pretty clearly.
Is that a day you'll ever forget?
Yes, ma'am.
You will forget it?
No, I'll never forget that day.
It was a Wednesday, wasn't it?
Wednesday morning.
Okay. Did you work that day?
Yes.
Okay. What time did you get up to go to work?
5:30.
You got up at 5:30 to be at work at what time?
6:30.
All right. So when you got up that morning, was Karen already up, or did she get up after you?
She got up. I got a little routine where I feed the dogs and stuff like that, and then I'll take my shower. And I met her as I was getting close to being ready to leave the house to go to work. I met her in the house.
When you say you met her in the house, meaning you passed by her?
Yeah, hallway or whatever.
So she had gotten up while you were in the shower?
Yes.
Did you see Holly that morning?
I didn't see her that morning.
Do you know where she was in your house?
I knew where she was because the bathroom is across the room from her door.
Uh-huh.
And I seen her light on as I come out of the shower, getting ready to go to work.
And did you, when you noticed her light under the door, did you say anything to her?
I spoke to her. I asked her if she needed any lunch money or anything that day, or gas money or whatever. And she said yes. And I said, I'll leave you a $20 bill on the kitchen bar.
After having that, I guess, exchange with Holly, how did you end the conversation?
That pretty much ended the conversation with Holly that morning.
Did you tell her bye?
Yeah, I told her bye and I loved her. That's just normal for our house.
So after you told Holly goodbye and I love you, did you go and put the 20 in the kitchen?
Yes.
Where you told her you did?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Is that the first time you've done something like that? Or
No,
is that kind
no,
of routine?
ma'am. I do that I've done that all the time.
And did you go into work?
Yes.
And when you left your house that morning, which door did you leave?
The front door. I always use the front door of the house.
And where did you park?
I usually parked out front. I don't park mine in a garage.
And I'm going to ask you some questions about where people in your family parked in a minute. Are you the only person that was parking in the front at that time, parking your truck?
Yeah.
So everybody else was in the back?
Yeah.
How far from your house to McKenzie Tree Service?
Probably about, I'm going to guess 5 miles.
And when you got to work, did you all stay there at McKenzie Tree Service, or did you and a crew go somewhere else? Because you said you were a mower.
Yeah, when we get there, what we normally do, we'll fuel up our trucks for our machine, our pickups that we're driving to work. We'll fuel them up, and if we have to pick up any parts we need that day to work with, we get them. We're usually there like 30, 40 minutes in the morning. That's why we get there a little early before we leave out.
All right,
Get
so
everything ready.
did y'all go somewhere?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
We went to, at that time, we was working on the other side of Linden, leaving Linden, probably about 5 miles. I think it's east going toward Louisville, Tennessee,
And did you drive your personal vehicle or happened?
way before lunch.
Had you actually been there very long when something happened, or was it pretty early?
It was early on in the morning.
What happened?
I got a phone call. I can't tell you exactly what time. I got a phone call from Terry Brumley.
Okay, let me ask you this. Terry Brumley?
Yes, Terry Brumley is my,
Is Terry Brumley here in the courtroom too?
yeah,
Okay, so you got a phone call from somebody named Terry Brumley.
yes.
Was that usual or commonplace for Miss Brumley to call you?
No, ma'am.
All right. So what happened?
I got a phone call from her, and I had some guys around me there talking, and she told me that I needed to come back home because Holly had been taken. And I said, what? And it was a guy beside me talking. I had to holler at him and tell him to quiet down, or I forgot what I said, but he quieted down. And she told me for the second time, and she was crying when she told me the second time. And I understood it the second time what she said. Holly had been taken.
Holly has been taken.
Yeah.
4 words.
Yeah.
What sort of an impact did Holly has been taken have on you at that moment?
That was the worst feeling you could possibly feel. That something bad has happened to one of your kids.
So you're out there outside of Linden without your own car. Dana, what did you do?
I have what you call a point man that he usually drives me to work and back in a single cab company truck. And I hollered at Danny, he's the one that drove me, and I told him that I forgot what the words was. He had to carry me back to the office quick.
And so did he drive you back to McKenzie Tree Service?
Yes, ma'am.
Were y'all going slow or y'all going fast?
He was going so fast in that Chevrolet truck that the motor was cutting off and back on. We passed everything from work back to Parsons, McKenzie.
Other than those 4 words, Holly has been taken. Did you have any more information?
That's it.
So that whole trip back to McKenzie, you didn't know anything.
Didn't know anything. I wanted to know, but I didn't.
So when you got back to your office, what did you do?
I got in my truck. I think I hollered and told Danny to tell Dennis, my boss at the time, what was going on. And I ran from the company truck and got in mine and went home the back way. It's the quickest way I know to get back to the house.
This time you were alone. And did you see at some point whether somebody was following you or not?
Yes, as soon as I was pulling out from McKenzie Tree Service, my boss, Dennis McKenzie, was in his pickup right on my bumper. You might well say.
You said you took the back way home. You know, we're sitting in Hardin County and people aren't familiar with maybe the roads and
Right.
back there. Are these very populated roads, or are they deserted roads, gravel roads, narrow roads, winding roads?
Some of them, they're definitely winding roads, and some of them is narrow roads. One of them is a popular road.
When you got close to your house, did you notice or see something that was going on that you had never seen before?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain to the jury what you saw?
Before I even got to the house, I could see the yard where I was coming in. The yard's on the left in the direction I come in. I don't know, I'm gonna guess 50 to 100 people. The road was full of cars. It was cop cars. It was regular cars. The yard was full of people, cops and people. And I had to drive on past her. I was in a terrible big hurry, and I had to drive on past all that and go down on the side of the road where the county used to park their work equipment, and I had to park down there and run back to the house.
Now, is that because the road you live on is one of the narrow roads?
It's a very narrow road in front of our house.
I'm sorry?
In front of our house, it's a very narrow road.
The Swine Johnson Road was so narrow, cars are already lined up, you had to actually pass.
I had to kind of weave in between them to get past them where I could pull over somewhere and park.
So you parked your truck, right?
Yeah.
And then went back to the house.
Yeah, I run back to the house.
You said run back to the house. Did you run fast as you
I
could?
run as fast as I can go.
And as you got down the road and hit your driveway, did you have a plan? I mean, did you even know what you were going to do, supposed to do?
The only thing I was thinking is get back up to the house and see somebody else, family member, somebody tell me more about what I'd heard had happened.
Do you remember who the first person you saw was once you ran up the driveway?
I saw a lot of people, and some of them was friends and neighbors, some of them was cops that I guess I knew. The first person I saw that I thought I needed to talk to was my son, Clint.
I'm not going to ask you what Clint said, but after you talked to Clint, do you remember the very next thing you did?
I talked to Clint and left him, and I'm pretty sure that Terry Brumley was the next person that I seen that I thought would have some information for me.
Okay.
And I talked to her.
All right. And again, I'm not going to ask you what Ms. Brumley said, but after you talked to Terry Brumley, what's the next thing that you did?
I saw Karen and I talked to her.
Right. So now you've talked to Clint, Ms. Brumley who called you,
Yep.
and Karen.
Yeah.
Then what did you do?
I went from Karen and straight into the front door of the house, and I went inside and I found my pistol, and I come back outside with the pistol.
Was the pistol loaded?
Yes, ma'am.
What was it? What were you?
9mm Beretta.
You said there were cops all over the place. Did anybody try to take your gun away from you?
No, ma'am.
You just had it.
I had it in my hand. I didn't even own a holster for it at the time.
And how long did you wander around your yard with a loaded pistol in your hand that morning?
I don't know how long, but it seemed like hours.
Initially, you said there were 50 to 100 people. Did more people just keep coming and coming and coming?
It seemed like there was more coming.
Do you remember what all or what agencies were represented by law enforcement? You said there were some local ones. Did other agencies come as well?
Yes, several more agencies that morning come.
Did TBI come?
TBI was there.
Did FBI come?
FBI was there. U.S. Marshals was there.
So U.S. Marshals, FBI, TBI.
A SWAT team. I remember them pulling up.
Were there helicopters in the air that morning?
Somebody told us, yes, there was a helicopter come in and circle the house and sit down on the pond levee.
How much property do you own around
Did
your
you
house?
sit down on the,
pond levee, we have a pond to the right side of our house, and it sit down over there. It's an open place for it to sit down.
And I should have already asked, how many acres do you own?
23.
Okay, and that's all right there around that house?
Yes.
Were people wandering around in your front yard, your backyard, your house, your woods?
It was people wandering, standing, fiddling, just like nobody. No, it was kind of like nobody knew what to do. That's the way I took it at the time.
At some point in the middle of the morning, did you lose patience with an FBI agent and tell him what he should go do? What did you say?
I couldn't tell you who it was.
That's all right.
I told him, if y'all think one of us done it, I was talking about me and Clint and Karen that was still left there. I said, if y'all think one of us done it, 10 of y'all stay here with us, and the rest of you go do something. And it probably wasn't that nice of words when I said it.
But you wanted somebody to do something.
Something. Yes, ma'am.
You wanted Holly
Yes,
back.
immediately.
Your Honor, on passport, a photograph previously shown to defense counsel.
Okay.
May I approach or do you use your court
Let's
deputy?
hand it to Bailey.
Okay.
Who is that a picture of?
My daughter, Holly Bobo.
And does that accurately depict what she looked like in 2011?
If I ain't mistaken, this picture was took about 2 weeks or less from the time she was getting out.
Like that, mark that as Exhibit 1, Your Honor.
All right, we moved into evidence, Exhibit 1. Would you like to display this to the jury?
I'm going to put it on the overhead with Your Honor's
Okay,
permission.
okay.
Mr. Ragland's going to help us keep the pictures up so that we can move along.
I didn't want to pass it individually, this would work better. Oh, you need it. Okay. Put your hand down there.
And for the record, Dana, I'm going to ask you to look over your left shoulder and tell the jury who that's a picture of.
That's Holly Bobo, my daughter.
I've asked you a number of questions about your house and your property, and I want to show you, I'm going to pass forward a group of 12 photographs.
Okay.
What I'm going to ask you to
Thank you.
do, Mr. Bobo, I'm going to ask you to keep them in that order, look at each one of them, and tell me when you're finished.
First picture is of our house and driveway.
Mr. Bobo, I just want you to look at each one of them and tell me when you're finished.
Oh, okay.
You don't have
All
to
right.
tell me what they are yet.
Okay, I'm finished.
So I'm going to ask you the same questions about those photographs as a whole, and then we'll talk about them individually. Do you recognize what is portrayed in each of those 12 pictures?
Yes,
Okay. And generally speaking, what are those pictures of?
that's all pictures of our house. 681 Swan Junction Road.
The house that you built?
Yes,
And did those pictures accurately reflect what your house looked like in 2011?
yes.
Your Honor, at this time I'd ask that those be marked individually, 2 through 13.
Okay. Let's let me mark first and then.
ask them to Mr. Ragland, with the court's permission, I'll publish and ask questions.
Okay.
At one time.
Okay. Start with Exhibit 2. You can just give them to Mr. Ragland.
Mr. Bobo, I want to ask you now, not only to speak up so they can hear you, but I need you to look over your shoulder the next few minutes.
Okay.
What is that a picture of?
That's a picture of the front of our house.
From what, and we're looking at what's been marked as Exhibit 2, from what angle?
That's from the road out in front of our house, looking back, looks like kind of to the right, to the front of our house.
So looking back just a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, Exhibit 3, and you can just put them on top of one another. Keep different. What is Exhibit 3 showing?
That's a picture of our house, sitting right at the end of the driveway, looking straight at the front of the house.
All right, so a minute ago, and I put the pointer up there, a minute ago, the picture was taken from looking back a little bit, right?
Yes, kind of to your right.
But if you were to sit directly at the base of your driveway on Swan Johnson, that's what
Yeah.
you'd see.
A straight shot of it from the end of our driveway.
All right, next one, please. What is that?
That's a picture of the front of the house, probably, I'm going to guess, 30 feet from the front of the house, sitting in the driveway.
All right, is your house an L-shaped house?
Yes, ma'am.
To me, right here to the left?
Yes, that goes back to the left.
All right. Now, a moment ago, the jury saw a straight shot of the driveway. If you come up, look where my pointer is.
Okay.
When you get to the top of your driveway, how do you get to the back of your house? By going left or by going right?
You'll have to go around the right.
So does the driveway continue this way, around the side of the house?
Yes, around the right side of the house, like you're pointing.
Okay. Next one, please. If you follow the driveway around the right side of the house, is this what you would see?
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, is this truck parked there? Whose truck is that? Do you know?
That is Kathy Wise's truck, our neighbor at the time.
Okay. And so if Kathy Wise's truck had followed on around, this is where she would go?
Yes.
And that would be, this is the back of your house?
Yes.
Okay, next one. And we'll ask you the same questions. There was a pool in the last picture. Is this the driveway as it goes on around behind the pool?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what is this building? And I'm holding it, it looks like a double door.
That's the detached garage from our house.
Okay. Whose truck is that?
That's my dump truck at the time.
And the pool.
Yes.
Does this driveway stop right here, or can you go on around?
It goes on around the pool to your left and pulls into the carport
Okay.
in the back of the house.
Next picture. With respect to the same pool, correct, on your left?
Yep.
Is this the detached garage they just saw?
Yes.
And you said it pulls on into the carport.
Yeah.
Is this your carport?
That's a carport.
Okay. When you got home the morning of April the 13th, was this crime scene tape already stretched between your house and the building?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you take steps for some reason to block off something that you thought was important?
I did.
Tell the jury what you did before law enforcement.
Okay. When I was standing around the front yard, is sometime after I told some law enforcement to do something. I went back to back. People was wandering around as they pleased, all in the yard. Someone was headed back toward the back of the house. Sometime before that, I'd walked to the back of the house. And I seen Holly's car still sitting in the garage.
Okay, let me stop you here. Was Holly's car parked in this detached garage, or was Holly's car parked in the carport?
I'm gonna call it the carport, the one on the back of the house.
Okay, so you had seen Holly's car still there.
Yes.
And so what did you do once you saw people wandering around?
Once I seen Holly's car still in there and something in the garage floor and people wandering around as they pleased, I used to cut timber on the side, and I always kept pink tape. I took 2 lawn chairs off the back deck right there,
Okay.
and I put them across the garage. At that time did not have a door on it. It was open garage. I took 2 lawn chairs off the back there, and I put them on each side of the garage open, and I stretched pink tape across the lawn chairs to keep people from walking in the garage.
Okay. And then later on, law enforcement added this crime scene tape that we
Yeah,
can see?
that was added after later that morning, now, I suppose.
Gotcha. Next one, please. And what is it? What is this?
That's the front of the detached garage, left-hand side of it.
Whose truck is this backed in?
That is Clint Hunter Bobo's truck, my son.
Okay. And what is this vehicle next to it?
That is one of them. We had 2 4-wheelers at home. That's a Honda 4-wheeler.
Right. You mentioned that the carport didn't have doors on it. Did this detached garage have a door?
That detached garage has always had 2 doors
Is
on
that
it.
what I've got the pointer in now?
Yeah.
Why- Does it just roll down?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember now whether, when you got home and when you blocked off the carport, was that garage door up or was it down?
Down.
Next picture. Okay, this is a different view. You mentioned a deck a few
Yeah.
minutes ago.
Yes.
Tell me where to put the pointer.
Tell you what,
Where's the deck?
the deck is on the right side of the pool, attached to the back of the house.
All right, so this structure right here on the far right is the carport, is that correct?
Yes, that's the front left-hand side of the carport as you pull in.
And there's a deck between this above-ground pool and the house?
Yes.
All right, and if you will, looking there in the background, what is the jury looking at?
That's the tree lines of the woods, separates the yard from the woods. And that's the playhouse that me and Karen built for the kids. And to the right of it is the swing set we bought, set up for the kids.
All right, and you mentioned this tree line. Was this your property beyond
That,
the
the tree,
Hang on a second.
Okay.
She tries to write down everything we say.
okay.
So I know you have 20-plus acres. Is your land back behind the tree line, or is your land the other way?
Our land is this side of the tree line.
Okay. So is the tree line, is that the edge of your property?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next one. So this is a little, I guess, nearer view, is that correct, of the tree line in the woods
Yes.
and where your truck was parked? Okay? Now, we can see the edge of the swing set that was in the pictures. This tree line, if one were to walk back there, is the terrain about the same, sort of hilly with trees filling out in this April? Is that about what it looked like?
Yes.
Next one, please. And what's this?
That's our back deck on the house.
This is a better picture of the deck. And is there, I know it's dark, and the jury will have these pictures later, can you see from the deck into the carport?
Yes.
And how is that? You said there was no door on the front, but how can you see there on the side?
The carport there is kind of on the right of your picture, above that shrub.
Right?
You can walk straight in off the deck. There's an open, I'm gonna say 4 to 5 foot open, cased out door open, and it has no door on it. So yes, you can see from right there, plumb in the garage.
Okay. One more. What is this a picture of?
That's our carport on the back of the house.
Whose car is that?
That is Holly's car with the trunk lid open.
What kind of car was it?
2006 black Mustang.
You said earlier in your testimony that you parked in the front. You just showed us where Clint was parked. Where did Karen park every day?
She parked the vacant place on the right there where you're pointing.
So Holly parked on the left,
Yep.
Karen parked on the right.
Yes.
And was that a habit that pretty much everybody followed? That's your spot, and that's just where you put your car?
That was their spot.
At some point on April the 13th, were you asked to leave your own home?
Yes.
And I'm not asking specifically who asked you, but Was it law enforcement that asked you to leave your home?
Yes.
And was it just you they asked to leave, or did they ask you to take Karen, Clint, and Terry Bromley, and everybody else that was there?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your understanding of why you needed to leave?
I think they told us they was going to process the crime scene.
So where did you go?
We went to my youngest sister's house, next road over.
So as close as you could be to home,
Yes.
but somewhere else.
My mom lived at town, which was 6 miles away, and my sister lived a mile and a half from us, back behind us, next road over.
Is it fair to say that from the time you got that call on April 13th of 2011, your life changed as you knew it?
Yes, ma'am.
How long was it before you went back to work?
It was either 7 or 8 weeks.
And during the 7 or 8 weeks after April the 13th, what did you do every day?
We searched for our daughter 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
What kind of places did you look?
In my mind, I looked at every place that I think she could have possibly been.
Like what?
I went to vacant houses, I went to vacant buildings, I went to houses that was occupied. I went everywhere I thought she might be, looking for her.
Did you look in barns?
I looked in everywhere.
Did you look in sheds?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you look in the woods?
Yes.
Did you look in other woods?
Yes.
Did you go to places outside of your immediate area, your road?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know whether your phone number, y'all's private phone number, was it out there broadcast to the public so that people could call you with tips and leads? Or Karen's?
Karen's phone was.
And as a result of that, I'm not asking what anybody said, but as a result of that, did your family actually get phone calls from people saying, go look here, go look there?
Yes, ma'am.
When you got those kind of phone calls, what did you do?
We took them down. It might have been 2 or 3 days after we was taking phone calls. I think 2 FBI ladies come and stayed with us after, I'm not sure on the time, maybe a day or 2 into it. Now, we was taking the calls ourselves. We had a house phone at the time, so calls was coming into our house and calls was coming into her cell phone once it got out there for somebody to call it.
And would you turn the calls or the leads over to the FBI, or did you just handle it yourself?
After a day or 2, we started writing it down when we kind of come to our senses of what we need to be doing. Every call that we got was turned into the TBI daily, just minutes after we took it.
Now, David, you said that you went in places that appeared to you to be abandoned, and that you went into places that appeared to you not to be abandoned.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you did that, did you keep that a secret, or did you self-report that to law enforcement?
TBI was at our house a lot of time during the daytime, and they was there every night briefing us. I told everybody everything I'd done that day.
And at some point, did you stop going into houses and sheds and stick to just knocking on doors and looking in the woods?
Yes.
Okay, what made you, I guess, change? 'Cause that's your daughter, that's your baby. What made you go from one way of doing things to another?
We searched for, I guess it was, I don't know how long. We searched forever, it seems like, in the woods, sides of the roads, buildings and stuff. And there come a time, I don't know how long it was later, that we had searched everything, seemed like 3 or 4 times with dog teams and all. And you wouldn't believe how many people was helping us and come from out of state and all. But we searched, and there come a time where we just started going out as far as bunches gathering, and we was talking to people, knocking on doors everywhere and talking to people.
Okay, when did you stop doing that?
I couldn't tell you. It was a long time we searched the woods and...
Did anybody ask you to stop doing that?
No, ma'am.
Law enforcement never asked you to stop Not-
They told me to quit searching like I was dead
That's what I'm asking.
numerous times.
All right. And so at some point, did you stop doing that?
Yes.
What day did you give up hope for the very first time?
About 3 years into it, give or take, the TBI come to our house. There's a whole bunch of them, and took me and Clint and Karen down in the living room and told us that was Holly, and that Holly had been found. That was her remains.
And until that moment, were you looking?
Yes,
Still hoping?
until that moment.
I don't have any more questions for you. The defense attorney's mine.
Okay.
Okay?
Your Honor, we have no questions.
All right, step down. You may now remain in the courtroom if you'd like. You're not to discuss your testimony with anyone, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
They said they'll have lunch about 12. Do you have a brief witness?
I do.
Okay.
We did. Drew Scott.
Just put it like
Years ago, I asked an attorney that had a short witness, said yes, sir, about 5'3". Attorney named Bill D, so I don't know if any of y'all know Bill or, yeah, okay. Raise your right hand, please. Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Be seated. State your name for the record and spell it, first and last.
Drew Scott, DREWSCOTT.
Mr. Scott, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up and direct your answers over here to the jury, okay? Okay?
Yep.
So will you direct your answers over here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Judge asked your name, you're Drew Scott, is that correct?
Yes.
I'm not asking what your address is, but where do you live?
Parsons, Tennessee.
And how long have you lived in Parsons?
All my life.
How old are you?
26.
And what is your birthday?
July 13th, 1991.
Do you know a man by the name of Dana Bobo?
Yes.
Do you know a lady by the name of Karen Bobo?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see him in the courtroom?
Yes.
Do you know Clint Bobo?
Yes.
And how did you know
You say
David?
7/13, date of birth, what?
91.
91.
And how did you know, or how did you know Dana, Karen, and Clint Bobo?
I was buddies with Clint, and probably just out of high school. And
Well, did you also know him through another person?
yeah, we through Holly. Yes.
Okay. And who's Holly?
Holly Bobo, their daughter.
And what was your relationship to Holly?
We were dating.
I'm going to ask that Exhibit 1 be put on the overhead. And just, if you'll turn around and look at the screen, who's that?
That's Holly.
You said you're dating. Did you love her?
Yes, ma'am.
You're a little bit younger than she was?
Yes.
Just less than a year?
Yes.
Did y'all actually go to school together or no?
We did not go to school together.
Did you go to a totally different school? Or just a different year?
Different school.
Do you remember when you started dating her relative to when she disappeared?
I was just freshly out of high school.
And when she disappeared, you would have been 19 then. Your birthday was in July, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How serious were you about her?
Serious.
In fact, did you give her a gift for Christmas
Yes, ma'am.
before she disappeared?
Yes, ma'am.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I want to hand you a box and ask you to open it up. What is that?
That's a ring I bought her for Christmas.
Was it a special ring?
Yes, ma'am.
What'd she call that ring, or what'd you call it?
Promise ring.
Did Holly wear that ring?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she wear it every single day? As best you knew.
Yes.
And Your Honor, I'm not going to introduce it into evidence. Frankly, I hope to return it to the family, but I would like it to be passed if nobody objects.
Let's do this. We'll make it an exhibit, but I will allow you to substitute a photo.
Okay.
Okay? Will that work?
That's perfect. So for the time until I substitute it, I'd ask that be marked as the next number.
All right, the exhibit 14.
And the permission to pass it to
All
the
right,
jury.
you pass it to the jury, and you can continue your questioning while it's being passed.
I want to ask you, Mr. Scott, do you remember back in the spring of 2011 what your routine was with Holly? Like how frequently did you see her?
Every night.
Would you come to her house?
Yes.
She was in school then, right?
Yes.
Did that keep her pretty busy?
Yes.
Did you have more times on the weekend, more time to spend with her on the weekends?
Yes.
Did you spend the time with her on the weekends?
Yes.
When you weren't with her at night or weren't with her on the weekends, did the two of you talk and text frequently back and forth?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to draw your attention to the early morning hours of April the 13th, 2011. Do you remember where you were that morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you?
I was on a piece of her grandmother's land, turkey hunting.
Okay. And her grandmother that's back here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You said on a piece of her grandmother's land. Where was it?
Bass Springs.
Okay. How far away from Holly's house was this piece of land?
20 miles, 25 miles.
Park. And what were you doing?
Turkey hunt.
What, were you supposed to go to work that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you go to work that day?
Yes, ma'am.
So despite, what time were you supposed to be there at work?
8 o'clock.
Despite having to be at work at 8 o'clock, you still turkey hunted that morning?
Yes.
With whom?
My father.
And on this piece of land owned by Holly's grandma, did you see people that morning?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know who those people are?
I knew one of them.
But you actually had an exchange with them about hunting?
Yes.
And after this exchange with them, because you were on grandma's land, right?
Yes.
Was there a series of calls or texts back and forth between you and Holly and Karen about your permission to hunt on grandma's land?
Yes.
And you had permission to be there?
Yes.
Do you remember the last text or that you got from Holly that morning, what time it was? And if you don't, it's okay.
I don't.
Was it before you went to work though?
Yes.
And you had to be at work at 8?
Yes.
Were you early to work that morning?
Yes, ma'am.
So the last time you heard from Holly would have been before you even got to work.
Yes, ma'am.
And where did you work then?
City of Parsons.
You still work there?
Yes.
When's the last time you actually saw Holly?
The night before.
After that last text on the morning of the 13th, you said you went over to work.
Yes.
At some point in the morning, did something happen?
Yes.
What happened?
My foreman got a phone call and he came to me and had told me what happened.
And what did you do when you got the information about Holly?
I left work and went to where my dad worked and left from there.
Did your dad go with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And where did y'all go?
We went to the Bobos.
And over the next days and weeks, were you over at the Bobos a lot?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point in time, did law enforcement come and ask you where you were that morning, that kind of thing?
Yes.
And have you always been cooperative with them?
Yes.
And you were 20 miles away hunting with your dad,
Yes.
talking to some other people,
Yes.
and texting with Holly?
Yes.
One moment, Your Honor. Drew, I don't have any further questions. Defense may.
Just a second, cross-examination.
One question, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Can I put this sack with the box for later? The bag that I took it out of?
Your Honor, I don't think the exhibit number was actually read into the record for the ring.
It was Exhibit 14. I announced that it would be filed as Exhibit 14. I think I did.
Mr. Scott, do you remember back in April of 2011 what your telephone number was?
No, ma'am.
Would it have been
No, ma'am.
do you remember what it was?
Not at the moment, no.
No questions.
Done?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can step down, sir. You can remain in the courtroom where you're free to be excused. We're going to recess 12 o'clock straight up and down. How about that? Let's allow 1 hour for lunch. You're going to bring it in, so that should be adequate time. Have your next witness ready to go. Big jump ups in the chair.